What's going on in there for any of us? Insights into what is happening can help organizations move through change processes, uh, learning opportunities, and other successful implementations of goal reaching results that matter. Find out, stick around. Hi, I'm Earl with Victory Leadership, and as I like to refer to it, organizational neuroscience can help leaders from all industries reach deep into the stakeholders' minds to draw out the best that they can offer in developing unbeatable human assets. How does learning about the brain or neuroscience help develop fantastic organizations filled with awesome people? By understanding how the mind works, organizational neuroscience can unlock the greatness within their people. One of the first areas of encouragement is when we become aware of our subconscious thoughts, controlling our thoughts instead of our thoughts controlling us. It may sound like I'm being a bit resentful of my subconscious self, but I am grateful. My subconscious helps keep me safe, it tries to be efficient, and it wants the best for me. However, it doesn't always go about doing it in the best manner. How and why, you may ask? Our brains count for less than 2% of our body mass, but count for 20% of the energy that it consumes. So, where it can, our brain tries to be efficient at using less energy. It does so by developing habits, recognizing patterns, to make conclusions based on previous experiences, especially if those experiences were emotional, because emotions help retain information for faster recall. It helps look for opportunities of uncertainty in uncertain times to manage the amount of energy that it will consume. Ever wonder why habits are so hard to break? It's the brain trying to be efficient. Ever wonder why people conclude thoughts about anything or anyone without getting all of the facts? Again, in many cases, it's the brain trying to be efficient. Why do learning efforts fail without an obviously visible purpose? Again, the brain is trying to be efficient by managing the amount of knowledge that it can retain. People have varying degrees of cognitive capacity. So when they learn something, learning additional information above that starts to fall by the wayside. And then the person forgets, they may know of the subject matter, but some of the details may have been lost. And in many cases, where there are fewer opportunities to leverage that knowledge, it becomes reference material. So hopefully the understanding of where to get additional information is retained, but the details of that, if not used on a regular basis, may be deleted in favor of information that is going to be more relevant. Another challenging area is managing self-preservation tendencies like fear. Fear is the epitome of the double-edged sword. However, I am grateful for my fear, but I am challenged by controlling it. If fear is left unchecked, it will influence my decisions first and foremost before I can even engage my logical and creative thought processes. I mentioned learning and the brain trying to be efficient. So if you want to teach me something, I have to understand its importance, or I'll quickly forget it. If I don't see a reason for it, and I don't immediately have an opportunity to put it into practice, start using it, then I'll eventually start to lose it. This is one of the reasons why, uh, when in school, a subject that is taught earlier in the semester may have some challenges with testing towards the end, which is why refresher courses do just that. They refresh that information and try to bring it more to the forefront of the learning areas and the memory retention of the brain. Efficiency can equate to the managing of safety. And why spend energy on something that I may not believe that I can use? So I'll save whatever cognitive capacity that I have more for preservation, self-preservation, or something that I really want to remember and study and understand. Think about organizational change. Is that something that I really want in the way I want? If I'm good at what I do, then asking me to do something else that I'm not good at is a potential threat. I'm concerned about being judged. I'm concerned about if I'm going to get it, if I'm going to be good or as efficient at it as I am with what I have been doing. And those all create certain levels of fear, primarily for the fear of failing. Now, I may not even want to play the change game and I may exit out. I'm certain that there are examples that we may be familiar with where there has been a major change in an industry or a company, and people who are around the age of retirement may take that opportunity to do so, especially if it's a large change. At one point, I served in the automotive industry, and when a new technology was introduced, you saw quite a few of the legacy employees use that as an opportunity for retirement. However, when leaders understand organizational neuroscience, they can address many of these elements that doom corporate growth. For example, when stakeholders are informed of the whys of learning, they are more likely to embrace and retain that information. The chances of retention are more significant when the opportunity to use that knowledge closely follows instruction, because the knowledge that they retain, when properly applied, can be used to mitigate that fear of failure, that lack of understanding of what the new normal should be. Did you know that the mind, when it learns something and it can apply it, it is actually a pleasurable sensation? Have you ever learned about a topic and then when you started to apply it, you may have an experienced epiphany, or the light bulb went off and you felt excited about it and you started to see what you learned or what you studied start to come together? That is something that we want to try to repeat regularly in the organization. Create these areas of opportunity for growth so that it creates a little bit of an emotional bond, or what I like to say or refer to as emotional entanglement. When you entangle a person's emotions, they have a greater tendency to remember the actions that surrounded that incident. And if they're pleasurable, they will want to find opportunities to repeat it. And as an organization leader, if you can create those, then you will help solidify the bond that that person has to the organization and into the environment. Fear can run rampant in a person's mind. And as I mentioned before, it's the brain trying to be efficient, but this time it's trying to be efficient at protection. Even a seemingly harmless request can stir up fear, especially when there is an unknown. So if a boss requests to see you without an explanation, our brains start to lean towards that self-preservation. When confronted with an unknown, we will default in that, whether it's fear that develops into fight, flight, or faint or freeze. Those elements are there to help us defend ourselves in an unknown situation. The problem is that when the fear starts to come in, that the mind can go wild with different scenarios. And without a focal point, this use of mental energy can then squeeze out the room or the energy that would otherwise be used for creative thought or logical thinking. And at times like this can reduce just even the basic intelligence of an individual, further reducing the chances of what may be a neutral or a positive outcome because it's unknown. When people are fearful, there are not many cognitive resources left for that logic, as I mentioned. So the creativity goes away and the rational thought. These are items that are critical for the success of learning objectives or change management processes in the organization, maybe even just daily operations, depending on the elements in the environment. These studies that have been shown of the decrease in intelligence is going to almost be a slippery slope as the ability to think and reason start to thin, and then that just exaggerates the situation even further. The potential for that can be disastrous, but having a knowledge and understanding of that, especially as a leader, manager, supervisor, whatever the role is, even as a follower, that you can self-exercise different techniques to help gain some of that positive cognitive creativity, logical thought, and rationality back. I see fear as a prime reason for change efforts failing, and education as an excellent opportunity to negate it. With transparent information and working with newfound knowledge, these elements can create life applicable opportunities to leverage such knowledge. Remember, the feel good people get, or the feel good that you may have got, as I had mentioned, when newfound knowledge is used in a manner that is beneficial. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And there are 4 more opportunities for organizational neuroscience lurking just beneath the waves. So, what's going on in there? I believe it's opportunity. I hope you found this information beneficial. Comment below and hit that like button and subscribe. And if you hit the sounding bell, then you will be notified whenever I produce a new video. And if you have some ideas behind organizational development, leadership, and change management, please post them below. And any experiences that you have found that work, let's make this a shared community and benefit from one another's experiences. I'm Earl Larry for Victory Leadership. Have a victorious week, and I'll see you in the winner's circle.